You can do anything. Anything you dream that's possible, that you always wanted but thought you're not quite something enough to get. You can do it. But the thing is, we just always, 99% of the time, we give up too soon. And look back on your life and you'll realize this. You'll realize how many times you were so close to getting something and then you gave up. And then looking back a year later, 2 years, 10 years, you realize, oh, I could have had that. I just needed to push it a little more. Or I think about so many people have stories about how they had a crush on someone, but were too scared to tell them, too scared to be rejected or look silly or foolish. And then 10, 15, 20 years later, they meet that person and that person says, oh yeah, I had a crush on you too. And most likely both people are now totally different places, maybe in totally different relationships and whatever. But I talked to someone once who said, this woman who is very, very struggling with weight, and she said, I give up on diet and exercise. It just doesn't work. I've tried it over and over and it just doesn't work. And I was just like, obviously it works. Like, no offense to her or anybody else who struggles with that or anything, but like, if you took her and put her in a place where she had absolutely no access to food at all, like some third world country or something, a year later she would be significantly lighter and she would have achieved a ton of weight loss. 5 years later, she would probably be all the way down to her ideal or in worse condition. Like, it works. Everything works. It's just that we give up too soon. And so think of it like this. There's an incredible author, Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote this book. He wrote a lot of great books, but his breakout book was called The Tipping Point. And what it was is that he examined mathematical and economic trends where if a company is doing something with a product, it's getting up, up. There's a certain threshold. There's just a certain point where you have to cross it. It's a certain number where a product will go from being a little bit popular, a little bit more, to suddenly skyrocketing and becoming what we'd call today viral. And it's the same with videos. It's the same with a picture on social media. Like, there's a certain level where something crosses a certain line where it just takes off. And that's called what he called the tipping point. It's basically if there's a glass of water sitting on a coffee table and you push on it, it leans and then you let go and it falls back. Push on it more, it leans, you let go, it falls back. There's a certain point when you push it just the tiniest fraction of a degree more, where the center of mass is more over the table than at the base, and suddenly it tips over and everything changes. And if that glass represents amazing blessings, and you picture yourself being on the floor, laying on the floor underneath the coffee table, let's pretend you're dying of thirst and there's a cat sitting on the coffee table and there's a glass full of water and the cat keeps pushing it and pushing it. And cats don't really tip a glass of water, they more just slide it, but let's just pretend the cat's pushing the top of it, and eventually at a certain point it'll tip enough that it tips over and all that water will come down and refresh you. Think of it as like blessings. Like in your life, that all might be comical or silly or bizarre imagery, but in your life, how many times have you tried to do something and then given up? There is absolutely no wall where you're going to hit it and you can't go any further. It's just you getting to the end of your energy and the end of your faith in yourself, your confidence, and saying, I tried this much, it didn't work, I don't want to try anymore. it hurts now to keep trying and I'm getting nothing in return, and you give up. And it's very, very, very often that right at the point you gave up was the point you were about to succeed. Right at that tiny little point. And even if it wasn't that tiny little point, it's somewhere close by, somewhere right behind it. So next time you set out to do something, if you want something, go get it. If you want something to happen, make it happen. If you want to achieve something, achieve it. There is nothing stopping you but your own will to turn around and give up, your own decision. That's the only thing stopping you. Everything, there's like everything I learned in art. I can't do this, but I keep trying, and now suddenly I can do it. Nobody's going to buy from me. Oh, suddenly tons of people are buying from me. I'm lacking this, but I keep trying to get it. I can't get it. It's not working. It's not working 10 times. It's not working. The 11th time it works. Always, always, always happens. My entire life is just two stories. The story of things that I pushed through, and just when I was ready to give up, I just kept pushing and it worked. And the story of when I pushed and then gave up, only to find out that it was right there for me to take. I just had to push a tiny bit more. So what are you doing today that you're pushing, but you're getting ready to give up? Or you already gave up a couple of days or a couple of weeks, months ago? Go back to that thing and push harder and watch that whole situation tip over and everything turn in your favor in a huge way. Have an awesome day. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the other things, all the holidays, whatever they be, Kwanzaa, everything, enjoy. And have a wonderful holiday season. And if I don't see you again in a video until afterwards, have a Happy New Year too. But hopefully I'll see you much sooner.